Hello and welcome to the 50-cent tour of Tuesday, April 16th, 2013. This is a day with a lot of news, as you, I'm sure, are aware, so please find a seat on the Liberty bus and we will begin examining the sites today. All MSM implying we need to give up rights for safety and security after Boston. Video of major oddity of bombing coverage. I'm sure you're aware. I'm sure you've been seeking out information about all this. I wanted to pick out a few things that I thought were a little more interesting. Not that it's not all significant, and I'm sorry and sad for those who have suffered losses. But when I look at this in the context of our broad reality. Family Guy episode predicted Boston Marathon attack. This is kind of fascinating. There was a Family Guy episode where the lead character made a couple of cell phone calls. I don't mean to laugh. I apologize. I do find Family Guy funny. It's one of my guilty pleasures. What can I say? But, you know, it's just a bizarre coincidence. No, it's not a coincidence. I take that back. It's a bizarre occurrence that Family Guy had this as a joke that bombs were exploded at the finish line of the Boston Marathon. Eyewitness authorities must have known about bombing. There's a lot of information in here, but of everything, all the news that's come out, I think what is most significant is Dan Badandi just tore it up at the press conference, was very aggressive and asked very embarrassing questions, and he was a game changer. And I bring that up in a positive light because the game is rigged. The game has been rigged against real people, everyday people, in favor of the bankers and their minions. So a game changer is a positive thing, and Dan Badandi is a game changer. He did not allow them to have things go as planned. And as I said, I would like to lend perspective to Boston. It's a tragedy, yes. But for everybody to get all riled up and worried, I think it's now 3 people have died and a few hundred were injured. And again, my sympathy goes out to them. I understand losing family members. I understand that pain. I'm sorry that happened to them. But the fact that it did happen and the way that it happened is being used to manipulate us and play our emotions as if they were harp strings. And I don't want us to be played like that. Again, it's a game changer if we can see that we're being played, and if we can collect our thoughts and put this occurrence in perspective. And here's the perspective I'm offering. U.S. drone strikes are causing child casualties. Video and report. I know there was a child killed in the marathon explosion. I'm sorry. Can we feel that same sense of tragedy pertaining to things that our government has intentionally done with our knowledge? And here's more information. Drone attacks in Pakistan. If you want images, just do a search for U.S. drone child injuries, and you'll find them. I did that search in images and start page, And I considered using some, but honestly, I didn't even click on any to see the larger image, because I don't really want to put that out there. I don't want to add to people thinking a lot about tragedy and loss, because I really believe that we, except for to repent from those things and the things that cause those things, I believe that we need to set our focus on what Paul said, things that are pure and true and without reproach. Because whatever thoughts are rolling around in our head, we are emanating something based on those thoughts. And I don't want to contribute to what's negative in this world, hate, fear, on and on. I want to turn and have things begin to be about love and peace and joy. And that might sound shallow, but I don't mean it in a shallow way. More perspective: 4 dead, 21 wounded in weekend violence in Chicago. This is business as usual in Chicago. 4 dead. 4 dead. And who's talking about this? Who's bewailing this? Because oftentimes these kinds of attacks come in moments, if it's a false flag, and I won't be at all surprised if it is. False flags often occur, wag the dog kind of event, to detract from something else that's going on. So I think it's important to look around. What else is going on? I don't know what it is that's significant that perhaps they're trying to distract us from, but these are times when it behooves us to keep our eyes open. Rove's cronies lobby for the national internet tax mandate. That is one thing that's going on. Another thing that's going on is CISPA. 34 civil liberties organizations oppose CISPA after amendments. It's very important that we preserve internet freedom, and we don't need that tax on the internet either. Here's something that's going on that is probably some sort of a distraction, but if you have a few minutes, not a bad thing to consider. OPPT, Neil Keenan, Gene Haynes, a Cabal staged event. I don't know all the details of this, but the conclusion is that we waste time being divided. The Rothschilds funded Wellington and Napoleon II. They incited the South to secede in the American Civil War and tried to fund both sides in that carnage too, but Abe Lincoln wouldn't allow it. The orange lion logo of current banker ING, that's the International Netherlands Group, who funded the American Revolution and the British too. Point being, these people play both sides of everything, and everybody loses but them. That's how they set it up. In this case, these people say both sides have decided not to fall for it. That's good, and that's an example for us in everyday life. If we find ourselves being swept away by strong negative emotions, wanting revenge, even sometimes wanting to be vindicated, we might want to just pause and examine our hearts, our motives, our intentions, and maybe just let some things go. What's really significant? Is somebody trying to stir us up in a way that is going to cause us to lose long term? Afghanistan opium production hits new highs under Obama's surge. The drug war, something that it always behooves us to consider the drug war and to be aware that we are being played. More news that's important. FDA let drugs approved on fraudulent research stay on the market. Again, if we're distracted by specific events that are intended to distract us, we might not keep up the pressure on these nasty drugs like SSRIs, on GMOs, Monsanto. We might not keep up the pressure on things where we are making progress if we allow ourselves to be distracted by something that's in the moment. You know, we look to not the urgent, but the important. This is important. Smoky Mountains National Park, a UN World Heritage and Biosphere Reserve, among other national treasures. The UN is claiming parts of our nation, and here we have it. Has been designated a World Heritage Site. This is a national park that has historically belonged to the American people. This I slipped in. Okay, this is a positive distraction. All right, this is like, is this real? I don't know, but it caught my eye, and it just seemed appropriate to include this today for whatever reason. If you've listened to my video blogs, you know that I am not a big believer in aliens. But again, it's good to look around at everything, and we need for ourselves to sort through and decide what we believe is important. And I have stated before, I don't ever want to spoon feed people. I want to present things that cause people to ask questions and challenge and become stimulated to break out of the old habits, patterns, routines, whatever. This is the good news, marginally good news. I mean, we'd prefer that these things hadn't happened, but at least the recognition is beginning to be there. New York Times openly admits domestic terrorism plots masterminded by the FBI. So it's good. We're making noise. People are becoming aware, and we're moving forward. We're moving down the path. I do believe that it is possible, it's within our grasp, to be set free from the tyranny under which we find ourselves. Jesus, one of the things that Jesus read when he went to one of their meeting places where they would meet together, he read out of the book of Isaiah, "The Spirit of the Lord is now upon me, for he has anointed me to bring good news to the afflicted, to release prisoners from bondage." That's one of the reasons he came, and that verse goes on. But we, in many respects, have been prisoners, and we want to be released from bondage, yes? She Who Will Walk in the Dark produced this tour and is glad that you came along for the ride. The dawn is coming. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.